Hey guys, Scott from phasingplayer.com here. If you're new to the channel, or if you've been here for a while but haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. It makes the numbers get bigger, it makes endorphins blast into my brain, and I feel good. Please do it, it'd be real cool. You have probably read the title of this video. It's a first impressions video of a game called BattleStations. Maybe you haven't heard of it. I feel like it has flown under the radar a little bit. I certainly hadn't heard about it until recently, and frankly, I feel like someone has done me dirty. I don't know who, but someone in my life over the last, like 19 years now, I guess, has failed me, because BattleStations, a game originally from 2004, is quickly becoming like an obsession of mine. It is an RPG in a box style game, and you and some buddies are taking on roles on this spaceship, flying around, going on missions, fighting other ships, infiltrating star bases, carrying crew or stowaways, and doing all sorts of things. Like I said, RPG in a box sort of game, but kind of before this RPG in a box was a popular sort of like genre or subgenre of board game. Of the ones that I've played and the ones I'm familiar with, I think that this one is maybe the most RPG-ish of all of them. Part of that, I think, is that you're making your own character, for one. You're not playing like a preset character that levels up. You're starting from picking a race, one of like, Jesus Christ, there's like 15 alien races you can pick from. All sorts of weirdos, not all humanoids. Many of them are just like blobs or collections of like synapses and like all sorts of weird things. A pile of rocks with like a clay center. Very imaginative races. And then you're picking one of four professions, either an engineer, a pilot, a marine, like a combat guy, or a scientist. And you're going to have one of each on your ship, and each one can kind of do everything, but will specialize or be the best at doing one thing. So like, if you're a pilot, it doesn't mean you can't go shoot stuff. It doesn't mean you can't do science things, but it does mean you're the best at piloting your ship, okay? The Marine is going to be the best at doing combat stuff, but it can also go, like, repair things or fly around. It's a really interesting system that makes every player kind of need to do things they're not good at times, which is very fun. I should maybe show you the box, too. I've got it right here. This is the second edition of the game. This is from Kickstarter in 2017. There was a reboot. The original game does not have this style of art. It is not this big and heavy of a box. This is a hefty thing. I typically like to pick up games when I can that has everything inside. I don't like to just hold up the box cover, because I hope that people can see when there's heavy games and they weigh a lot. There's a bunch of stuff in here. So I've played it like 3 or 4 times at this point. It being an RPG in a box, it does encourage, like, get a group of people together. I'm tired now picking that thing up. Get a group of people together, play regularly, like go through all these missions. And my buddies and I have done that, and I think we've all had a really good time with it. It is a game where one person has to play like the dungeon master, game master sort of role, and then everyone else plays like the crew members of the ship. It's a mission-based game, as I sort of alluded to, so you'll have like a preamble for like a setup for a mission, put these things here, build this sort of thing with these tiles, and then there'll be an objective for the crew to complete. The objective might be like something simple: destroy an enemy ship. If you can destroy the ship and not die, you win. But it might also be something like collect a bunch of data from this vessel, this like derelict vessel, and for an overwhelming success, like get these specific things from it. While maybe there are enemy aliens, landing on your ship and fighting, or a bunch of bugs like crawl out of your ship. And now you have to deal with all these bugs while like collecting data. It could also be stuff like you're trying to kind of suss out some like hidden infiltrated bad guys amongst an allied crew. So you have like a bunch of NPC allies on your ship. Most of them are good, or maybe most of them are bad, you don't really know, and you have to figure out who's bad and finish the mission not killing any of the good guys. And so there's a pretty good variety. It encourages you to make up your own missions too, but the options, the missions available are like 50 or 60 missions, I think. It's quite a good number. And they're variable too, because the person running the game, which is called the enemy, gets to sort of tweak things as they want. One thing I will say is that the rules can be a little unclear in some areas, which is not necessarily bad if you're going in with the right mentality, the sort of like, I'm the DM, I'm running this game, I'm the one in charge of all this. Ambiguous rules, as a fan of advanced Dungeons and Dragons, like the king of ambiguous rulebooks, they can be very liberating because you can interpret, like you have to interpret, you have to make calls at the table on certain things. And having ambiguous rules in an RPG-leaning game means you get to make calls at the table. You get to say, like, I'm interpreting thematically what I think should happen here, and then you get it to happen. Now, I will say, one difference in a game like BattleStations versus a game like Dungeons & Dragons or GURPS or whatever RPG system you like, the DM in this game, again, the enemy, they're called that for a reason. The enemy is trying to win. They are trying to kill the players. In Dungeons & Dragons, the idea is that the DM is like facilitating the world and like facilitating fun play and interesting play. They can, of course, kill the heroes. They should, be sort of trying to. But it's not really the goal of the DM. Well, in BattleStations, it is the goal of the enemy. However, if the players die, that's not it. They're not done. The game isn't over. Like the grander campaign isn't over. It's assumed you have a bunch of clones on your ship. So if the players die, a clone, I think the way it phrases it is like, a clone is pulled out of storage, a Medal of Honor is slapped on their chest, and they're sent on their way back to the ship. And so, like, losing is not a dead end for the heroes, nor should it make the player playing the enemy feel bad. They should feel good. They one-up the heroes. But it's a super interesting game. It's got, like, a giant laundry list of actions and things you can do available. Most of them are logical. It can be intimidating at first, looking at the list of actions you can perform and being like, holy cow, how do I figure out what I want to do? There's, like, a dozen things you can do as like a piloting ship options. There's like 24 things you can do for like science options. There's just like all these things. But again, most of them are pretty logical. If you're in the teleporter module, you can teleport people. If you're in the science bay, you can scan kind of for life forms on enemy ships. You can, if there's a mysterious missile flying at your ship, you can scan it to see what kind of a missile it is. You can like research things. You could so one of the weirder ones is you can like ask yes or no questions about things. But again, once you kind of understand the logic of the game, understand the flow of the game, it all moves pretty easily, and you can understand the types of things available to you. A cool thing too is because it is a little more open-ended and free-flowing, it allows players to sort of, I don't want to say make up their own actions, but try to do things that maybe aren't written down in the rules. And the player sort of playing the enemy is running the game and can pretty easily kind of finagle ways to perform actions that aren't expressly written down. So like, I wanted, or rather the pilot on the hero side wanted to perform 2 piloting maneuvers at once. Pilots can speed up the ship, they can steer the ship, they can do like a variety of maneuvers with the ship, but they're all like discrete actions. And the player wanted to like speed up the ship and turn it at the same time. And unless I missed it, there just wasn't an option for doing 2 of those things at the same time. But I was like, okay, logically, like maybe there's a throttle and maybe there's like a steering wheel or something in the starship, or it's like touch panel based, whatever you might think. So maybe they could try to steer with your knee and like turn with your throttle or something. But it was easy to just apply like a penalty to these rolls. All the rolls in the game are 2d6 rolls. 2d6 versus a target number. If you meet or beat the target number, you've succeeded. No problem. And it's a very free, like, feeling game. It doesn't feel like you're breaking things. Not to say the game is not balanced. It is reasonably balanced. But you're not going to throw it so out of whack if you kind of make calls at the table, which was great. Very freeing feeling. Very exciting. Felt like I was running an RPG, but a lot of the work had been done for me in the structure of the game. So in the game, the pretty much everything is built with these module tiles. Everything in the game is going to be set up with big square tiles. There are big old space tiles like these that are quite large. These hex grids that does have space on them. This is sort of like for a zoomed out view. You might have like a ship miniature flying through space here, enemy ship miniatures flying in other places. But then most of the game is this sort of zoomed in view of these tiles that you build out, you use to build out ships and labs and stations and all sorts of things. So you might have like a life support module or an engine module, and these things like connect on the sides so that if you're making a spaceship out of them, you can like, you know, traverse between them. They're based on a square grid, whereas the space map is a hex grid. These are squares. And there's all sorts of different ones, hyperdrives and cannons for weapons, as well as there are missiles for weapons or like teleporter modules. And so you build these ships with these on your table, and then you have these miniatures that will traverse the squares. And you can create all sorts of different designs. You can make your own thing, or you can use sort of pre-built designs in the rules. And each race has their own style of ship design, like their own sort of layout. And it includes like racial bonuses for those ships. So like the humans would have these sort of more, what we would as real life humans see as sort of like traditional looking spaceships maybe, with, you know, a helm maybe up front and like guns on the sides and whatever else. Your sort of Enterprise or, you know, Millennium Falcon looking thing. They'll give a benefit if you're using a pre-designed one of making your helm rolls, your ship maneuvering rolls easier. Whereas another one might have like, the helm might be like in the center or like in these weird spots, and the guns are facing like in or facing in different ways that don't seem to make sense. But that race says every module on the outside is considered to have 360 degree facing. So when you are picking one of these designs and maybe moving modules around within the framework, you can like put them in different spots that will change how you are playing the game with these ships. Maybe you want to have a human ship, but you put the cannons on the back so that you can fly away from things while shooting backwards. Or maybe you're going to pick one of these 360 degree facing ships, and then you're just going to put whatever you want wherever you want, because you're going to be able to see in every direction no matter what. It's kind of a cool thing, designing these ships, and as players play through missions and level up and get equipment and like loot new modules for ships, they'll be able to sort of design their own ship and, you know, explore sort of these frameworks, these hulls, a little more robustly. And it's very cool. It's cool to, as even though I'm the enemy, I'm not the one designing the ships, to like see players figuring out where they want stuff and how they want to readjust stuff. So the ship design is a big part of this game, and it's very cool. Additionally, characters, again, you get a race, you get a class, and you level up. You gain experience as well as prestige in this game. A character is made up of 5 attributes: athletics, piloting, engineering, science, and combat. And those simply give bonuses to rolls when you make checks associated with those stats. So if you're shooting someone, you use your combat stat. If you have a 2 in your combat, roll 2d6, you add 2 to that result, trying to get, again, at or above a target number. If you've got 3 in piloting, and you're trying to make an evasive maneuver with your ship to avoid incoming missiles or something, you add 3 to your 2d6 roll. It's very straightforward. Making a character is pretty darn easy. There's a giant list of special abilities, a huge list of equipment. That can take a little while to go through. But the actual process is like, you get a set of numbers, you assign them to where you want in your stats, you pick your race, you pick your profession based on where you put your stat numbers. You're pretty much good to go. Early on, you level up basically every mission. You use experience to get better stats as you level up. And you use prestige to increase your rank, which is essentially your level. And that's kind of it. Again, I'm only a few games in. This is very scattershot, I'm sure. I'm just excited about this game right now. If I had to throw out some negatives, so for people that are like, oh, maybe I'll go check this thing out, which you should, by the way, Battle Stations 2nd Edition. There is a new version of Battle Stations out. It's like a spin-off game called Dirtside. In this game, you don't really land on planets. In Dirtside, it takes place entirely on planets, and I think there's a way to combine them. If I might grab a copy of Dirtside, and if I do, I'll play it and see, you know, how they work together, how it works on its own. Haven't played Dirtside yet, though. But if I had to levy a big negative at this game, if you're thinking of going and picking it up, here's the rulebook the game comes with. Little kind of standard, like 30-ish, 40-page rulebook, 31 pages. It's sort of like a tutorial set of missions of, okay, on this first mission, here's what you're trying to do. These are the actions you have. Second mission, okay, let's introduce this set of actions for this new mission. Third mission, more actions available still. And then sort of until you get to the end, you have like, you know, limited actions up until the last mission. This is not the full rulebook. This is what the game comes with, as it says here, Rules of Engagement Quick Start Guide. When you get to the end of it, it straight up says, hey, if you have fun, well, you can go buy the advanced rulebook, which has all the rules. It even says, like, if you've played Battle Stations before and you go through this, don't think that I took these things out. They're in the advanced rulebook. There's more rules in the advanced rulebook. There's also no real missions in this rulebook. It's only like tutorial missions. It kind of sucks that this is what's included. It's not a good first look. I think the idea from the designer, Jeff Syadak, was like, let's not put a 300-page rulebook in the core game because it's intimidating. This is like less intimidating. But it also feels like you're spending $90 on a game, $100 on a game, and you're not getting a fully playable thing. You're getting like a box that has a tutorial in it, and that's all. If you want the real rulebook, it came in this big, hefty, 300-page, almost a 300-pound hardcover rulebook. This has all the rules. This has the like 50, 60 missions in it, including a bunch of missions from guest designers. It's got a mission from Richard Garfield, a mission from Eric Lang, missions from Tom Vassell, missions from Phil and Matt Eklund. It's got like all sorts of guest missions in it. It's kind of cool. It's got different modes of play. It's got this is the real rulebook. However, you can't buy this anymore. Not in this form anyway. It's out of print. They also had issues with binding when they made it. So like my copy here, the spine is like coming off. And when it first came out, it was like $50. So you'd buy this game for $100, then you have to spend another $50 on the rulebook. Kind of a bummer. I had bought this lot used online, and it came with this, thankfully. However, if you do go buy it, there is a PDF of this you can buy. I think it's on Wargame Vault, Drive-Thru RPG. You can buy a PDF of this for like $20, I think it is. It's also on the official Battle Stations website. The game is made by Guerrilla Board Games. I think the website is guerrillaboardgames.com. You can buy the digital version through there. It's necessary. If you pick up Battle Stations, you need the advanced rulebook. That's the real rulebook. It's not like only special optional rules if you want a more complicated thing. As far as I'm concerned, that's the real rulebook. But go buy a digital version. It's all you can buy right now. But if you pick up a used lot of this, maybe it would have it in it. Expect, though, the binding is probably in bad shape. But yeah, the game comes with a bunch of miniatures. It comes with this just like cardboard box full of minis, full of just unpainted gray minis. This is clearly a passionate project for the designer, for Jeff. I think he's done like everything for the game. And I know the Kickstarter for the current Dirtside, which I think it's just shipping to people now. He like is like hand mailing out all of these. He doesn't have like a distributor that like sends the games out. He like gets all the games himself and packs them up one by one and then ships everything out through like a variety of shippers, UPS, Amazon, USPS. It's very charming. I can, when you watch videos with him or listen to interviews with Jeff, he's very passionate about this game, clearly. And I get it, man. This is a very cool game. Like I said, I feel like someone has wronged me for not telling me about Battle Stations. It feels like everything I'd want in a tactical kind of tabletop RPG in a box. It feels a little like something, along the lines of Descent or Imperial Assault in play. It's you take like an action and a move with your dude, and then the next player takes an action and a move, and the next player takes an action and a move, and then the enemy goes and takes actions and moves with all their characters, and then goes to the next round. Sort of the round structure is a bit strange in this game, but I won't get into that. Very cool game. I might bring some gameplay to the channel at some point. Battle Stations 2nd edition. Please go check it out if you are into the like tactical strategy game, RPG in a box sort of thing. If you have a group to play this with, you can do one-off missions. If you've ever played the video game FTL, this predates FTL and is so much like FTL. I've heard that it was an inspiration for FTL. I don't know exactly how true that is, but I would be shocked if it wasn't. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. I'm going to keep painting my miniatures for Battle Stations now. Please go check this game out. It is very, very cool. Anyway, that's it. That's the video. Goodbye.